General Vexthak stood on the bridge of his massive dreadnought, the crimson eclipse watching the blue-green marble of Earth grow larger in the viewport. His chitinous exoskeleton gleamed under the red battle lights as he reviewed the deployment reports flooding his neural interface. 1 million Zephyrian soldiers across 300 warships, the largest invasion force in galactic history. The humans would surrender within hours, just like every other species had when faced with such overwhelming force. General, his tactical officer clicked through mandibles still sticky with victory pheromones. The human fleet approaches. 47 vessels total. Vexthak's secondary arms twitched with amusement. 47 ships against 300. The humans were either incredibly brave or monumentally stupid. Given their species' reputation for both traits, it could be either. The communications array crackled to life and a human face appeared on the main screen. The creature looked impossibly young, with smooth pink skin and bright blue eyes that held an unsettling intensity. Captain Sarah Chen, according to the intelligence files. "This is Captain Chen of the Terran Defense Fleet," the human said, her voice steady despite facing annihilation. "You are in violation of Terran space. Withdraw immediately." Vexthak's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his people. He activated the return transmission, towering over the human even through the screen. "I am General Vexthak of the Zephyrian Empire," he declared, his voice a deep rumble that had made countless worlds tremble. "You face the might of 1 million soldiers aboard 300 warships. Surrender now and your deaths will be swift." The human captain studied him for a moment, then smiled. It was not the expression of fear or despair he expected. It was the smile of someone who knew something he didn't. 1 million soldiers? Captain Chen said, leaning back in her chair. "Good. I have 1 million objectives." Before Vexthak could process what that meant, the human ships scattered in a pattern that defied every military doctrine in the Zephyrian database. Instead of forming defensive lines or attempting to concentrate their firepower, they spread out across an impossibly wide formation, each ship heading toward a different vector.
"Tactical analysis!"
Vexthak barked. His officers' claws clicked frantically over their consoles. "Sir, their ships are—" "They're heading for our individual vessels. Each human ship is targeting between 6 and 8 of our warships simultaneously." "Impossible. 47 ships cannot engage 300 effectively." But even as he spoke, Vexthak watched the first human vessel, a compact destroyer that looked like it had been cobbled together from scrap metal and determination, accelerate toward a cluster of Zephyrian cruisers. The ship's engines blazed with an intensity that should have torn it apart, yet it held together through what could only be described as human stubbornness. The destroyer opened fire, but not at the ships themselves. Instead, it targeted the space between them with some kind of exotic matter weapon that Vexthak had never seen before. Reality seemed to fold in on itself, creating a localized gravitational anomaly that pulled the Zephyrian vessels together like insects in a web. "What is that weapon?" Vexthak demanded. "Unknown, sir. Our databases have no record of this technology." Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out as human ships engaged multiple Zephyrian vessels simultaneously. One human frigate used some kind of nanite swarm that disabled engines and life support systems across an entire squadron. Another deployed temporal distortion mines that slowed enemy ships to a crawl, while the human vessels zipped between them like a predator among helpless prey. But it was the tactics that truly confounded the Zephyrian general. Where his forces followed rigid protocols and established formations, the humans seemed to operate on pure chaos theory. Each ship moved independently, adapting to threats with a creativity that bordered on insanity. Captain Chen's flagship demonstrated this perfectly as it dove straight through the middle of the Zephyrian formation, weapons blazing from every available port. The ship took tremendous damage, its hull scarred and bleeding atmosphere, but it kept fighting, kept moving, kept adapting. "Sir," his communications officer reported with growing panic, "we're receiving reports from across the fleet. The humans aren't trying to destroy our ships, they're targeting individual soldiers." Vexthak's primary eyes widened in horrified understanding. While Zephyrian military doctrine focused on ship-to-ship combat, the humans had weaponized precision on a scale that should have been impossible. Targeted electromagnetic pulses knocked out specific battlesuits. Micro-missiles eliminated individual soldiers through hull breaches. Boarding pods delivered small teams of humans who moved through Zephyrian ships like ghosts. striking at specific targets before vanishing into the superstructure. Each human wasn't fighting one enemy. They were fighting dozens. Every soldier in the human fleet had identified multiple individual targets among the millions of Zephyrian troops and was systematically eliminating them with surgical precision. They're not engaging our fleet, Vexthak realized with dawning horror. They're engaging our army. On the main screen, Captain Chen's face reappeared, now streaked with blood but still wearing that impossible smile. "You brought 1,000,000 soldiers to fight our 47 ships, she said, breathing heavily. "But we didn't bring 47 ships to fight your 1,000,000 soldiers. We brought 47,000 humans to fight each of your individual troops. The math was never in your favor." As if to punctuate her words, explosion after explosion bloomed across the Zephyrian fleet, as precision strikes continued to eliminate specific targets. Not ships, people. The humans had turned warfare into something personal, intimate, and terrifyingly effective. Vexthak watched his invasion force crumble not through overwhelming firepower, but through sheer bloody-minded human ingenuity. They had taken his greatest strength, the size of his army, and turned it into a target-rich environment. "Retreat," he whispered, then louder. "General, retreat. All ships, withdraw immediately." As the surviving Zephyrian vessels limped away from Earth, Vexthak understood why humanity had never been successfully conquered. They didn't just fight wars, they redefined them, turning every engagement into a problem to be solved rather than a battle to be won. Behind them, 47 battered human ships hung in space, victorious against impossible odds. Not because they were stronger, but because they had dared to think differently about what strength meant.